Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our August 13th meeting, Board of Directors for the Waynesboro Area School District. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, right. Let's go ahead and begin with roll call.
Mrs. Fortney? Here. Mr. Pence?
Here.
Mrs. Straight? Here. Mrs. Zimmerman is not here today. Dr. Royer? Here. Mr. Marvin?
Here.
Mr. Hamburger?
Here.
Mrs. Miles is not here today. Mr. Smith?
Here. Okay, thank you. And now we move to the approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion to
So
approve
moved.
it?
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments about the agenda? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Dane, I wasn't here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the motion to approve minutes from our July 23rd meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Dane
You
on this one.
abstain? Okay,
No,
Oh, we weren't here. I was not here.
Wasn't here.
not here.
okay.
Ms. Straight, you abstained also, right? Okay. I was.
Okay, okay, so we move to our superintendent's report, Dr. Sternerheim.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So today we celebrated our opening day. We had all faculty staff at the Washes Auditorium. We were blessed to have a number of board members with us as well. We had the privilege of introducing all our new educators, and Dr. Deshawn has been doing an outstanding job with the new teacher induction program. We had a presentation by Officer Matt Gordon for safety and security. And then we also had Ms. Gildy provide us some Title IX updates as well. Another part of my just update for the public in general, that the fall athletic season is quickly approaching. I believe our first home football game is August 23rd. So we do provide the senior citizen gold card passes. It's up here on the screen if people are logged on at home. You will need to bring a driver's license and you need to be a resident of the Waynesboro Area School District in order to receive the gold card. Also, we are having community night this Friday. It's the kickoff of the fall athletic season, as well as the kickoff for the band and color guard. As always, we will be serving free hot dogs and water. So it's a great opportunity. It's 6 to 7. We are looking for anyone who might be interested in assisting in the concession stand for free hot dogs and water. So I know Dr. Royer and I and Dr. Holzman and Dr. Deshawn have done it. Well, we've done it for a number of years, and Dr. Deshawn joined us last year. Also, just a general announcement, since there have been some questions regarding the WASD budget process, and what we did is we took the Q&A information, and if you go to our website, it's actually one of the tabs at the very top. From time to time, we get some questions about where can we find information. So we have the ability to put certain key points of information at the very top. And so if you do have questions regarding the budget, there is a Q&A information listed there at the very top of the banner. Also, just a sidebar, the Wayback Foundation sponsored its first annual pickleball tournament, Pickle in the Park. One of the audience members, I will not embarrass him, but he was instrumental in helping us line the courts because the borough courts are only lined for tennis, so we had to line it for pickleball. So we had over 50 participants, a lot of enthusiasm, and we only had one Waynesbury School District employee play. Interestingly enough, he had a cheering section and there was about 10 people there for him. They had signs and a cowbell, so it was a very entertaining afternoon. So look forward to maybe having one in the future as well. And the Wayback Foundation continues to support the district in innovative educational opportunities for our learners. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we have public comment this evening. Mr. Thane Farmer.
Canvas forum in May. Frankly, they asked the school board candidates. Part of about pension. Filed under PA code 20. Pension from music. Ask of the candidate. Mentioned that exemption. All the candidates present agreed to address this issue. Ask for you today. I get a copy from one of the parents. I'll send. The vaccination requirements. Basically saying that either submit the required proof of immunization or your child will be excluded from school. There was no mention whatsoever of the option to exempt your child from vaccinations, neither in the form of an attached exemption form, a link to the form, or even that this option even exists. So even though all the school board candidates said they would take care of this, it really hasn't been. And a tenet of informed consent means that you have been provided and can understand the options available to you. If you have to ask what the options are, that is not really informed consent. And written informed consent is required for medical procedures such as vaccines, and no one should pressure or force you to provide it. And your agreement should never be given under duress, which the emails could be construed to do so. So one of the reasons we are asking for an attached form or a link to it is for legal protection for the district. Anaphylactic reactions to vaccines, though rare, do occur. And if a parent was unaware that an exemption was available, that could open the district up to a potential lawsuit by a parent whose child goes into anaphylactic shock. If the parent sees the form or a link to it, the ball is in their court and the district cannot be held accountable. So I was wondering what you all would like, how you would address this. So.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Now we move to board reports. Do we have any committee that is reported, that has something to report this evening? Because we've been kind of on a hiatus here.
I'll just mention facilities is meeting next week, Tuesday, August 20th, here in this room at 5:30. Budget will pick up in September. So, but facilities will be next week, Tuesday, August 20th at 5:30 in this room. One of the things is kind of just the kind of tie a bow on some of our summer projects. I've heard good things about the middle school, about that was kind of our big project for the summer. So thankful for all the work that's gone in there. And then believe it or not, we're going to start looking to next summer because there's a lot of lead time in terms of making sure all of our plans are in place. We can get things scheduled out the bid, things of that nature. One of the things I believe is on the agenda for later this evening has been actually discussed in prior meetings before, but we'll save discussion for it then. But our last elementary school library, we're planning to update in terms of just furnishing. So if you know, we've done the other 3 libraries. So our last library is on the docket for this evening. But that's all I have in terms of facilities and budget.
Thank you. And let's move to first item of business, personnel. Dr. DeShawn.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we have, actually, this is probably the thickest packet we've had for a while here for personnel, so. We do have a, professional staff resignation. So you'll also see, so Amanda's going to be, moving to another district, and we're also in the process of, she's accepted, but we're just working out the start date. The tentative is 8/26, so just keep that in mind with the other one I'll be talking about for the professional hire appointment we're asking for. That would be Thelma Ribson. So we have a retirement of support staff, and then we have 10 resignations of support staff, and that couples from paras to food service and custodial. And you'll see that we have about 11 appointments we're asking for paraprofessionals, custodial, and food service. So kind of like the resignations, we're replacing those. So we have 8 support staff resignations, 1 coaching, and 1 extracurricular. We have a professional reassignment we're seeking your approval for, as well as 7 support staff reassignments. And then we have our professional staff folks that we're seeking your approval for. Mr. Al Benedict for special education. Miss Lindsay Embley, she is looking to be our long-term substitute in ELA at WAMS. Tracy Gonzalez for special education at the high school. Teresa Harrison at special education at WAMS. Tara Kaufman for special education. Brenda Louise, how do you say her name, Miss Luz? Erica? I was way off on that one. So Brenda, we did interview Brenda. It's been back and forth with looking for, with certification, so forth, but it's all good to go. And we're looking for her start date to be in September, August 20th, sorry, August 20th. So she's a school psychologist. And then Thelma, who I mentioned to you, Robson, for phys ed at Fairview, phys ed and health. Jessica Tennyson for mathematics at WAMS. And then we have 1 leave of absence we're seeking your approval for.
Okay. So the motion is to approve the personnel as listed.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is it just me, or is there a special emphasis on the need for special ed right now?
It's funny you should say that, Mr. Hamburger, as that's been a topic of discussion the past several months at our board
Yep.
meetings with Mrs. McDonald and others and Dr. Holtzman.
And this is what has eventuated out of that.
Okay, next, the addition of elementary grade level coordinator for special education and related arts.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Smith. So I know that the grade level coordinator for special education has been discussed. We are also seeking approval for a related arts kind of grade level coordinator. I'd spoken with Dr. Royer about this. I think she ran it past the academic committee meeting. But essentially for that position for special education related arts, we have a grade level coordinator for our grades that we meet monthly upon. We just actually met last week too as a group collectively, but we don't have anybody really representing our related arts. So not that we want somebody from music, art, phys ed, but we're looking for one to represent them at the table so we can discuss instruction. One thing that we've run into is like sometimes for our related arts folks is when we have in-service days such as tomorrow, we have we have stuff lined up for our instructional teachers, grades kindergarten through 5. Sometimes our related arts, it doesn't maybe necessarily pertain to them. So we still provide them with purposeful, intentful professional learning. But they had talked to us too about this probably a little over a year ago. And I said, well, something we'll certainly consider and think about, but we're seeking your approval for one of them to be at the table for us to represent. What we would have to do is it'd be a real similar job description as the grade level coordinators K through 5. We'd have to post for that, and then we'd have to interview in-house whoever would want to, try for that position.
Are these full-time positions?
Well, it's kind of like a stipend type
Stipend.
position, Mr. Hamburger. So like right now, we have people who represent K through 5 at the middle school and high school. We also have people that are representing the related arts at middle school as well as at Washes, but we just don't have anybody at the elementary level right now to represent. So what we do is we meet monthly for approximately 30 to 60 minutes after school. Typically, it's on the third Thursday of the month. And we create an agenda. We talk about, we're really trying to build like a professional learning community, which really is discussing teaching and learning. So that's the gist of it,
Well,
really.
if I understand it, this would be an existing employee who would then just assume some additional duties for an additional stipend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As we do right now for kindergarten through 5. Dr. Roy, did you?
Just to clarify, because you could read this two different ways. It's two, you're asking for two, one for special ed and one for related.
Yes, the special ed one is something that has been discussed. The other one is the related arts one, which I talked to you about, and so.
That's fine. You just, if you read it, you could read it that it was one for.
Oh,
one
yeah,
for
sorry,
both.
yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify, it's two individuals.
Yeah, because we don't have one for special education either, at the table either, so.
I'll move to
Okay.
approve.
Okay, all right. We have a motion to approve. Any second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, questions? Okay, all right, all in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? And back to special education, I've always advocated, Mr. Hamburger, for I think people who work in special education should receive a stipend in addition to their teaching salary.
I
And that's
think
something-
anyone,
That's something that's opposed by most teachers unions, right? But they do quite a bit of work in addition to the teaching part. They have to do, they have this paperwork that is legally binding type, paperwork. So I've always advocated for, and that's why the turnover is the way it is, because there's burnout and there's not, I think, equitable compensation for special educators.
I think there's a special place in heaven for people who teach special ed. It's something I could never do.
Thank you, sir. All right, move into our next staffing list.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so you, just on the agenda there, we have, the listing of all the teachers and all the various buildings, and then we have the support staff lists that are all in the building. So, we're seeking your approval for those, and if you have any question about those positions, again, those have been discussions we've had with enrollment and making a few shifts here and there, and then all the new folks too. Still with, 1 or 2 or potentially 3 names to still be added to those lists here soon.
So a motion is to approve district teaching and support staff buildings assignments as listed.
So moved.
And
Any questions? Comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, the 2024-25 student and family handbooks.
Yes, sir. So the building administrators, principals have worked on this throughout the summer, making adjustments, tweaks. A lot of it is kind of the same as from last year, but there are some tweaks or adjustments. I don't know if folks had a chance to sit down and actually read over them, word for word or not. But if anybody has any questions on them, we can do our best to answer them. Right now, I know Jocelyn Ms. Pence has been helpful too, because our admin principals will send changes and so forth to Ms. Pence, and then she helps to make those adjustments, and we wanted to get them on the agenda for your approval.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the student and family handbooks for 2024-25 school year.
second.
Questions?
It's the housekeeping thing. I appreciate how when they do make a change, it's
Yeah, I
highlighted.
do
It makes
too.
it easier to find those changes. So that's small administrative comment, that's appreciated, so I can easily see what the changes are as well.
And I think Mr. Marvin too and everyone, I think last year, like there was a change that kind of like, we need to make a change like in mid-year with something like a scenario or situation come up. I think we just added that in like our Friday folder to you to communicate that, so you guys just have a heads up, so. I think it had something to do with ordering food, like kids were just ordering food to come and down to the, pick it up at the, at will over the lunch hour for, and just was kind of becoming a disruption. So we kind of added something in there to say, yeah, we can't do this, so.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we move to the second reading of policies 200, 217, and 801.
Mr. Smith, we have second reading of policies, 801, public records, policy 117, graduation, and policy 200, enrollment of students. These were for, I believe, in first reading in June, and we did not receive any public comment on these or questions from other board members. Recommendation to approve policies as listed.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we move to WAEUA MOUs.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So these are renewals of MOUs with WAEA. In terms of historical information, most of these positions have been held by contracted teachers of the Waynesbury School District. So essentially, this is an MOU establishing the opportunity to be able to hire individuals that are either support staff or contracted individuals to serve in these capacities. The MOU for cyber learning is just essentially a carryover. At this point, we're essentially not utilizing the same format, but we wanted the MOU approved just in case there was a circumstance that we would have to use it during the 2024-25 school year. All these MOUs have been approved by our solicitor, and I think this is our third year of approving these.
Okay,
So these are just proving things that have been, these are the same it's been in.
That is correct. So like in the past, anytime we take a position that might have been prior held by a teacher, let's say a study hall monitor, they had an extra period. So what we're doing at this point is, because rather than hire like additional teachers, we are utilizing a support staff to cover a study hall. So the association is very much aware of like keeping the teaching staff at a certain rate. And so at any time we try to fill a position with a person who's considered not part of the teaching staff, we have to establish the MOU. So it would be for the study hall monitor, the Inspire program, which we have in all elementary, middle school, and high school, and the other is the ISS or AI Alternative Education Monitor.
so the motion is to approve cyber learning, Inspire, ISS, AI, and student hall monitors, MOUs.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions for Dr. Starter? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we move to the Hoffman Academy Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So what we have here is an agreement with Hoffman Homes, essentially to be able to provide services for our IEP students. So essentially, it's an agreement. We have placed students in the Hoffman Academy in the past, so it's a renewal of the agreement.
Okay. Motion, is there a motion to approve Hoffman Academy Agreement?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next, Reliant virtual speech therapist.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So what we have in this particular administrative, if you look through the administrative content, it's essentially to approve services for our learners, and this would be a virtual speech therapist. We are continuing to actively look for speech therapists that will be here on site, but unfortunately, at this point, we we need to service students using online speech therapy. So I believe some of these individuals were with us last year, and so it's just a continuation of their services.
Is there a motion to approve the Reliant virtual speech therapist agreement?
So moved.
Questions?
Just real quick, Ms. Bell, you're satisfied with the services they're providing?
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, speech pathways agreement, back to Dr.
Back to
Stern.
it again.
Thank
So and this also entails speech. However, this is an individual that will be servicing our students, IEP students at the high school for 2 days a week. So again, continuing to be creative in how we service our students. So in some cases, we have obviously full-time speech therapists. In other cases, we have online speech therapists. In other cases, we have part-time speech therapists that we are sharing with other school districts or other school entities.
So a motion is approved the speech pathways agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Well, I only have one question. And how is it determined that the student needs speech therapy?
I know they do a speech assessment, but Erica can come.
That's why I timed it that way.
Some of our students, I can say that some of our students actually come, they begin school with speech therapy already. And in some cases, like, I mean, in most cases, if they're already starting with speech therapy, that's a win because they've had some type of early intervention. But essentially there's usually a referral by a teacher, sometimes a physician, and then we'll do an assessment of the child to determine whether or not they qualify for speech.
Correct. So we have a screening process that we do within, then we do a speech club to see if maybe it's something that just needs a little bit of extra help. And then we go through a full evaluation for speech services. And then also, just like Dr. Cernerheim had said, we have 45 students, that are coming into kindergarten that already have services. They got services in preschool through the LIU. And so there is approximately 35 kids with speech already. So they've had early intervention and they still need some help. So there's a couple different ways.
Would you say the majority of those students have some form of autism?
I will say that we had close to 12 students that have some form. Our numbers are definitely increasing. And you were gracious enough to give us the extra in the budget, the autistic support teacher at Maury.
Okay.
think just a final comment, I appreciate we'll call it creative ways we're looking to service our students, because this is definitely of no fault of the district, a hard to find position to fill.
Correct.
Like you're still constantly learning and you need qualified, certified people in these roles. So while not ideal, I do appreciate that we do have people on staff in-house. We have this part-time person right in front of us, and then we just did the virtual speech therapist. So, we still need to care for these students well, and sometimes we have to be creative in the way we do it.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, the YMCA agreement.
Okay, so this again is a continuation. There is a modification, as I noted, in administrative content as well as in the Friday folder. So this is the agreement for the before and after school care program that the YMCA does provide at all four of our elementaries. For a long period of time, they were only able to provide those services at Summit View and Fairview, but it has expanded to the other buildings. I know our parents are very appreciative. They will have the opportunity to drop their child off at the school prior to the school day, and then the child can also stay beyond the school day. So the recommendation is to approve the YMCA agreement for the 2024-25 school year.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
No questions, but I think if we can work to partner with the YMCA, I think it's always good and beneficial for the district and the parents and the students that they care for in this way. I don't view our buildings as moneymakers.
Mhm.
I think if we can work with the Y as they provide a great program and service in this way, I think it's to our benefit to do so.
Comments, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey,
Next, we move to purchase of replacement furniture for Summit View Elementary Library. Dr. Osman.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this would be the final building. All three buildings now have, I guess, an updated library area, not necessarily every piece of equipment, but certainly a majority of it. One of those actually was for free. So we actually won the contest for Maui. So that was even better yet, where we did not have to expend any money. And then actually one of the libraries that would be Fairview came in through title funding. So that actually, again, it was certainly funding coming to the district, but we were able to allocate it for that purpose. So this would be the fourth and final building for Summit View. We did receive more than one quote, one or more bid, and this is the lowest one. It's the same company actually that we've used in two of the three other buildings. So we are satisfied with the equipment, generally speaking, and been happy with the installation work.
This is a budgeted item?
It would be part of our capital budget, yes, sir. Yeah, we usually set aside $200,000 a year for capital items, and this would fall underneath that category.
I will say that the library furniture sure has changed since the Stone Ages when I was in school, but anyway.
So the motion to approve purchase of replacement furniture for Summit View.
So moved.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, any questions? Any questions for Dr. Osman? Okay,
I just want to say thank you. We've been talking about this for a really long time.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate the support from Facilities Committee. I think all the principals have certainly been advocates for their buildings, and this is finally the fourth one we're able to take care of. We kind of did this as an incremental approach. I think we started this about almost 4 years ago. And the goal was really just to kind of do this maybe one building at a time. Maui was lucky with getting some additional funding a little earlier.
When are we looking at delivery? I saw it was TBD.
Right. We'd have to wait till the order goes in. Usually it's probably a good 6 to 8 weeks, I would say typically. I'm ballparking just based on the past, but we can get some firm numbers and let you know.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, next, the ASPO Food Service Consultant Contract. Dr. Osman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this would be to allow us to basically bring in the Ruth Hellman, who had just retired as the director. Through that transition process, there's some things during the year where in a new role, it's a little bit more challenging. It's good to have someone who has some additional expertise who can come in, kind of assist a little bit. We're not looking at too much time at all. I put some notes in there about what we anticipate here. The costs all come from the food service department itself. It comes out of that fund. But we feel this would probably be a 1-year transition, again, with just a couple different aspects, again, with purchasing and commodities. We do have an audit coming up this year. I think it's every 5 or 6 years. We have an audit for procurement. Guess what? It happened to be this year. So we thought we'd have some expertise in that role to help us out a little bit through that transition. And then again, we would not anticipate extending this one after June 30th of next year. And it's an hourly basis, so it's only as needed.
So the motion is to approve the consultant contract with the Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials to provide food services consultant on an hourly basis through June 30th, 2025.
This is as needed. Correct.
Correct, only as needed, right? We contact the individual, and they would come in and work those hours.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
I have one.
Dr.
So I certainly support doing this, but it looks to me that there's no termination date on this, that it's kind of like open-ended.
Oh, I'm,
June.
I don't,
It's not, it's up there in the.
did not make
motion.
it on the agreement.
It's
Maybe
not-
it's not.
it's not in the
on-
contract.
Okay, good to know.
it states something in here about
Okay,
like
so
Right
upon
here, On
termination.
board not to exceed. It is on,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I missed that. Okay.
no, it's not spelled out. It doesn't say June. It uses 6:30. So it's in, on page 2, LEA duties. Letter A. On board not to exceed. Beyond 6/30/2025.
Got it.
your
Okay,
point
so-
though, Dr. Roy, there is another section in there that doesn't reference the date itself. So
Well, yeah, it
you're
says
right.
something about
Yeah.
notification of,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of gives a mixed message,
I
but
just know there's been a situation where you can forget.
where you could
to-
forget that it's
you
out
can
there.
forget to say you don't want to renew it and then it just renews. I don't think PASFA is the case, but.
Yeah, right, I would agree with you. And again, that was part of our recommendation in the motion as well, as for
Yeah.
June
And
30th.
then if you need her longer, just bring it back. I wouldn't
Okay.
anticipate you would need her more than a year.
Any other questions or concerns?
I think this is just a comment. I think this is good succession planning. You know, we want the new person in this new role to succeed. And so if the person that was previously in this role was willing to come in on a contract just as needed basis, I think that's always helpful. Having been a part of numerous audits before, someone that has experience being audited, I think is always a benefit, if especially this is your first year in said role.
Oh, yeah.
So I think if we can help support our new food service director with this, I think it would be good for the district to do so.
I appreciate that.
Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
Next, we move
Thank you.
to agreement with Automated Logic.
Yes, sir. So if you remember, a couple years ago, we transitioned most of the high school over from Siemens system, which was the legacy system, with the renovation back in circa 2006, 7, 8 timeframe, over to Automated Logic. There was still some of the back-end geothermal controls that are still monitored and managed by the old Siemens system. We're a little concerned with some software and some end-of-life issues in terms of software. So the concerns would be, should we need to make some modifications or changes, it might not be able to bring it back up and get it serviced from that perspective, because again, unfortunately, most software companies, they have an end of life, they have older operating systems, and they're just not supported. There's always concerns from viruses, things of that nature. So the recommendation would be to go ahead and replace the remaining geothermal controls here over into the ALC. They had a quote here to do both the geothermal loop as well as the remaining systems control upgrade. And our recommendation was to do both of those. The geothermal system is the primary heating and cooling system for the high school, unfortunately, or fortunately. It is efficient, but it does come at a cost in terms of maintaining it.
Okay. So the motion is to approve the agreement with Automated Logic to upgrade Wash's geothermal loop and MEC-1 remaining systems at the cost of $24,850.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
We did talk about this in facilities. I think we were talking about it
Mm-hmm.
about a year, probably since you rolled on. I think you
Yep.
actually brought this up. So this is, I think, part of just updating the high school to make sure it's all kind of on one system. So that it all kind of talks to each other.
Yep.
And this is coming out of the capital funds. So this was part of, as Dr. Holtzman mentioned earlier, with the library furniture, part of that budgeted capital funds we had for this year.
It's Believe me, the last thing you want is an old software system to go down and you find out the guy that programmed it is vacationing in Tahiti. Or worse. So, smart money.
I think we had actually come up with a list of several different items that were priorities from a maintenance perspective, and this one came up number one in all of our reviews. So and that's kind of as a team approach. I don't want to speak for Mr. Erickson, but I know he's heavily involved in this process as well because of his concerns with some of the older operating systems.
Any other questions, Dr. Osman? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? We're back to you, Dr. Hostman, for is it shredded agreement renewal?
Yes, sir. This is for our regular shredding services. We have these, the boxes in the different buildings. There's actually no change from the prior agreement. So it's just really an extension of the current agreement that we have in place. This would extend this for another 5 years. So
Okay.
it comes
So-
in very handy to have some company, especially in today's day and age, to shred some of those documents for us.
This helps guarantee privacy.
I'm sorry.
This helps guarantee privacy.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, we do have some small shredders here and there, but nothing more on a bulk perspective. So this helps us out on that side.
So the motion is to approve the 5-year agreement with Stericycle for shredding services.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, wheelchair accessible van. Dr. Osman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So as you know, we do have one district vehicle that is has a wheelchair accessible type ramp system for it. We bought that one used many years ago. It has its challenges from a maintenance perspective at times, but we continue to operate it and we will continue to operate it. But what we wanted to look at is for consistency, you know, obviously in many cases, we need to have this van, we need to use this on a regular basis for transportation. That would include everything from mama's house to local field trips, trips in the local area for different special ed needs predominantly is what this would be used for. So what we did is we did go out and look at obtaining a bid. We did receive a couple bids, actually. This was the lowest bid. The vehicle has, I believe it was less than 100 miles on it is what we saw, even though it is a 23. The important part is too, is we're allowed to use medical access money for this. So again, we've done this in the past with medical access funding. So this is one of the approved items. So we've kind of talked with our special ed group. This would give us a primary and a backup vehicle. So should something happen to one or the other, we still have some backup purposes there to use for going ahead and transporting students. It's just become more challenging to find these types of vehicles, unfortunately. It really has. Our contractors have also had challenges. They too as well in terms of providing vans with handicapped access have had a hard time finding them and the cost just continues to escalate, unfortunately.
So the motion is to approve the purchase of a 2023 Chrysler Voyage LX wheelchair accessible van for student transportation. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any questions for Dr. Holmes?
The access funds cover the entire cost of it?
They actually do, sir. I'm surprised too, but yeah, they do. And actually we did this, was it 2 years ago for 2 vans or last year for special ed? Last year, it was about $150,000, just under that, 149,000 and change, but they covered the entire amount. They went ahead and paid that for us. So, and we have more than enough funds in our medical access at this point. So, yeah, I too am surprised, actually. We weren't sure, but we did a lot of phone calls. I know Ms. McDonald was very helpful in contacting that department and making sure it would be covered last time. And so we know we'll be good for this time as well. But I appreciate the question.
One of the things facilities has discussed is getting all of our vehicles on a maintenance update. I think in order to keep up with our fleet, it needs to be like one a year in terms of just the amount of vehicles we have in the district and that we're responsible for. So it's nice when we have a vehicle that we obviously need and that the medical access funds will cover the cost of it. So thanks to the medical access funds and the use of it over the past 2 years, including this vehicle. I think we're kind of slightly ahead of the curve. We'll see how long it maintains that way, but in terms of being able to use funds for updating our various district vehicles has been a great benefit, so.
When these vehicles break down, who services them?
We have a couple different local companies. We've actually kind of spread the wealth a little bit. So some of the vehicles we actually received as donations from a local company from Buchanan. So we actually take those back to Buchanan and make sure they're serviced there. But we actually do spread the wealth a little bit and have a couple local companies that provide the services for us.
So this one has, you said it only has 100 miles on it already, so it should have the remaining miles for whatever warranty.
Yes,
from
sir.
the
Yeah, for the
original, yeah.
warranties. Yeah.
Okay, all right, any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Have we looked into the concept of maintenance contracts for these vehicles? Prepaid maintenance contracts?
We have not at this point. I mean, certainly we could go out and take a look at it. We do have a wide range, but we could take a look and see what our options are. Yeah. I know historically this is one of those things that just grew over time, is where we would take certain vehicles over to one local contractor, local vendor, and certain vehicles to another local vendor. And that was probably just something that was started out to kind of spread that cost out a little bit. So I know most of them are pretty kind to us. Most of our repairs and such are pretty modest for the most factor. Yeah.
We go, all in favor? Oh, we did. Okay, all right, moving on. Let's move to the transportation agreements with Shalom Christian Academy and Cumberland Valley Christian Academy for the 24-25 school year.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. We have a lot on there this
Yeah,
month.
we do.
Sorry. So we did approve the transportation contracts for I would say the larger contractors that we have. These actually have some advantages to us. For example, they actually agree to do it at the actual index, so that it's not an index plus situation, it's the actual index itself. So that saves us some money. But by doing that, it gives them flexibility then to actually pick up other students. Now, we don't have to pay for those students, but they can pick up students in other school districts on their way up there. Again, between here and obviously Chambersburg, there's some distance in some other districts in that area. So the agreement really serves both parties pretty well. We pay a little bit less. They have more flexibility on providing transportation to non-public students. We do these contracts though on a 1-year basis instead of 5 years. We like that flexibility because just in case we want to do something different a year from now, we're not trying to figure out a way to break the contract. So both parties have already reviewed the proposed drafts. They're both fine with that. They've actually already signed some sheets and sent them to us already, but we're holding on to those for now.
Good. So is there a motion to approve these non-public transportation agreements?
Move to approve. Second.
Questions? Any questions for Dr.? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, we move to WASD drivers.
Yes, sir. We have a requirement for the board to approve all drivers for the district. What we do is we do check them from an insurance background perspective. We have a matrix that we follow, so we actually have access to be able to run records from Maryland to Pennsylvania. And then we check them against that chart. That chart was provided by our insurance company. As long as they meet that requirement, then we would bring that forward here to the board.
So the motion is to approve the following individuals to drive district vehicles. Is there a motion?
Are these all our employees?
Yes, sir. Yeah, for this list is, yes, sir.
Are 17 and 18 the same list?
No, 18 should be predominantly contractors. And I want to double check to see, we might have,
I think it's the same list. Maybe not.
no, it should just be the bus contractors themselves. I think there was some, I think it might be misworded a little bit in the title, but they would just be the contractors drivers.
Got it.
We could have put that together, I guess. Might
Oh, I
made
opened the wrong
might
one.
made it that a
Yeah.
little bit easier.
Do any of our district vehicles require a special license, like a CDL or anything?
No, sir, none of ours did. No. Good question to ask, but yeah, none of ours. The box truck is the largest one we have and,
I was thinking.
yeah, but that doesn't require. a
No,
special
no, we
license.
keep our vans small enough where they don't require the,
Correct, right.
Yeah.
We're limited to the 10
Right.
passengers since, was it 1994, give or take. Obviously, if we get into a small bus situation or something like that, then we would have to go down the CDL lines.
all of our vans, district employees and pilots. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they all meet the requirements luckily for us.
So is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any additional questions, Dr. Osmond? Regarding the driver's list? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
My vehicles, you gotta have someone to drive them.
Next, we move to bus van drivers as listed. It's a different.
Yes, sir.
okay.
Thank you. So this is a different list. Our apologies. I think in years past, we have combined these, so maybe
Mhm,
we'll
mhm.
get in a better habit to go back to that in the future. So this is the list of the contracted drivers. So they work for the various companies, as you'll see them listed here with Heck Myers, McLeaf's, Cumberland Valley, and Shalom as well. Okay. Yep. And it's the district's prerogative to approve names that we have in the past in certain situations actually had names removed. So based on administrative and board conversations.
And all these
such.
people are vetted, have the appropriate background checks.
Correct, that is correct, right. And these individuals would have to have additional checks if they have CDLs. Van drivers would not, but the additional, they would have to have
Mhm.
those checks. Yep.
So is there a motion to approve bus van drivers as listed?
Roma,
Second.
Any additional questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? In financial business, purchase orders for bills for payment and property assessment changes.
Yes, sir. We just have the normal bills for payment and requisitions as well as one property assessment. That's for a veteran exemption there who was fully disabled. So
So the motion is to approve the purchase orders for bills for payment and property assessment changes.
pay the bills. I move.
Second.
Any questions?
I would make one comment too, is that I believe Pennsylvania just passed a new law that any veterans who are receiving payments for their disability, if they're 100% disabled, effective, I think it's August 16th, so it's coming up here very soon, that income will not be counted against their qualification for an exemption. So just kind of a little bit more information for our community as well, that would become an additional option. Some veterans may not have qualified because of the exemption, if they exceeded that dollar amount threshold. But now that those funds from the disability will not count against that, starting August 16th. So I think there's some information out there at the county as well. But then we might start to see some more of these coming through as well.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Lengthy agenda. Clayton cabinet comments. Good of the
I
order.
just want to piggyback on what Dr. Stern Hines said, it's just, first day with all the teachers, it's just a real good, everybody's fired up, excited, and we're all here for the kids and for teaching and learning and it's just good to be out and see everybody and kudos to all of our principals and just all the team that for planning and preparing for the in-service days. We have a big day tomorrow and Thursday yet, so we're excited about that. And then obviously new kiddos next week, and I appreciate folks. I know everybody's schedule couldn't allow, but for the lunch and the induction last week, and we appreciate our new folks. And again, we're excited to have them on board and moving forward here. So thank you.
Good.
Mr. Calendar,
Oh, yes.
compliments of Miss Elizabeth Pinnacle. She worked very hard on it over the course of the summer. It's only as good as the information that we receive. So there's probably errors already. But we are very appreciative of her efforts. At one point, this was referred to as the Record Herald calendar. It is no longer the Record Herald calendar. It is essentially individuals that might be still affiliated with the Record Herald, but they work very hard with Elizabeth and essentially work on developing this calendar and securing the ads. So I guess it's from my understanding, it's cost free or cost neutral, I should say, from despite all the invested time that Elizabeth does. But at any rate, I'm very proud of this. You know, we try to update it, you know, keep the information current, but you know, there might have been people listed in here that may no longer be with us because they've resigned as of this week or something of that sort. So but thank you, Elizabeth. You did a great job. It's a great way to showcase. And all the learners will get one of these. I believe that's how we do. It used to be if you were the youngest of your family, you got a calendar because they were responsible enough to bring it home.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a Waynesboro rule because we didn't have enough. You had to, if you were the youngest, and so we'd have to trust the kids and say, "Are you the youngest?" They're like, "Are you sure you're the youngest?" Like, so, but thank you.
And just so you, I think most of you notice too, like, as we sit here and conduct business, pretty much all of our buildings are also conducting business night right now with back to school nights for kindergarten, WAMs, I think 7th and 8th grade, and at Washes also. So a number of things and activities going on at our buildings currently right now.
Okay. Thank you. Any board members? Any comments?
Yeah, I have.
Comments?
Yeah, it was exciting to see that all the extra money we got from the state. You know, that was nice to see for our district. It was equally exciting to hear the ideas from the community about the possibility of reopening the budget, giving some tax relief. So it was nice to see that kind of engagement. Thank you, Dr. Farmer, for sharing your issues and concerns about the vaccines. That's an important thing. Our state was founded on medical freedom. William Penn was persecuted, him and his family. We actually have strong medical freedoms within our Constitution in the state of Pennsylvania. So that was good to hear. And I'm working on almost finished with my PSBA education and training to be a board member. And really right now I'm going through how important it is for us to not manage and to govern the district. I think that's very important for us as board members.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, tomorrow I will be at the Franklin County Education Summit, which is put on by the Cumberland Valley Business Alliance. And one of the things that happens there is grant winners for EITC grants that the Greater Chambersburg Chamber Foundation awards. And so I know we mentioned this a couple meetings ago, but Jordan Fisher and Keith McCrae are WASD grant winners of EITC grant money. And I believe Mr. Hamburger mentioned we got to see some of the work of Mr. McCrae and all the technology things he does with our students at various grade levels. So I'm excited to see what will come of these two award winners for our district.
Yeah, I was just saying, I was, this morning, it was nice to see the excitement. You could tell that there was a really nice positive energy and excitement among staff in the auditorium this morning. So very noticeable. And two, like I mentioned this morning, a big shout out to the people, the building service workers, custodians, and folks who have prepared things so that kids can come back to a safe, clean learning environment. And so really appreciate the work. I'm familiar with the summer deep cleaning that has to go on in a lot of the buildings. And so I think that a lot of times folks are not recognized until things starting to go bad. And then we say, oh, wow, we really needed that. So really big shout out to everyone. And also thank you to everyone from Clayton Cabinet and beyond who have cared for the school year. Folks always say, you know, school is out. What are you all doing? You don't do anything. There are no kids there. but don't really understand the tremendous amount of planning that it takes to prepare for a school year. So we're appreciative of that as well. So I think that's time, that gives us a sign, it's time to go. Any other comments? Okay, and so we'll have a motion to adjourn. We did meet prior to the meeting, an executive session for a personnel matter. We will not have an after executive session following the meeting. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.